Let's create this simple loading animation in Figma. Let's start with a circle. So just press O on your keyboard, hold your shift while dragging it. So you have this perfect circle ratio. You can also lock it here. I'm going to change the size to 32. Now, if you hover on this shape, you'll see this little dot here called arc. You can just hold that and drag it to open up these additional panels here. If it's just a regular circle, you won't see that here. So you want to do that to trigger this 3 additional panels here. Firstly, you want to play around with the ratio. As I'm adjusting the value here, you can see that the closer I get to 100, the thinner the outside stroke becomes. Let's leave it at 70% for now and change this back to 100%. So this is the sweep, how full the circle's sweep is going to be. So 100 is going to make a perfect circle. Let's change the fill to a gradient, and you want to change the gradient type to an angular one, and you want to use the same color for both stops. So in this case, I'm going to use white, and same thing for the other stop as well. The second stop here, I'm going to change the value to 0. So we have this nice fading gradient effect. We have our outer ring that's going to rotate as the loading animation plays. And we want to create another oval. So you just press O again, hold your shift again. And we want to make sure this smaller circle has the same diameter as the ring here. For this one, I have it 6 by 6 pixels. You can align that perfectly in the center. I can just adjust the outer ring to have the same width of the stroke as the smaller dot. Just reduce this ratio value a little bit. We want to make sure this aligns perfectly. So 63, they're still not aligning perfectly, but 62 is a little bit too much. So you can just insert a decimal point, 62.5. Now they're aligned perfectly. Let's change the color of the smaller one as well to white. Let's rename this layers first. So the outer one can be ring, and the little dot here, we can just call it dot. Now we want to select both of them and add a frame. So frame selection, or you can also do Ctrl-Alt-G, which is what I usually do. Let's rename this frame. And we want to add another frame, so Ctrl-Alt-G one more time, and this can be the container. So we have our outer frame, which is called container, and then inside we have this other frame called frame, and within that frame we have the 2 vector elements. Now, why do we want to have 2 frames like this? Because we'll make this as a component. We can rename this as loader. And once we have it as a component, so inside we have this frame here, which we're gonna rotate. And let's create a new variant. This one can be 1, and let's just name this state 1, 2. Let's do this 4 times. This one is gonna be 3, and this one is gonna be 4. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to rotate the frame within each variant, and we can just rotate this 90 degrees. Okay, move on to number 3. This one can be 180, and the last one is going to be 270. Now, next thing we want to do is just select the first variant, go to prototype mode, Shift E, or you can do that by clicking on the tabs here. Just connect variant 1 to 2. Make the trigger after delay and give it a 1 millisecond delay, so it's basically instant. Change to state number 2. The animation should be smart animate, but you make sure that we have linear curve, so not a ease out, which is the default, but we want to change this to linear. Duration, you can leave it at 300, or I usually just do 400 so that it's just a little bit slower. And want to make sure that we do the same with the other variants. So number 1 goes to 2, 2 goes to 3. Again, trigger, make sure it's after delay 1 millisecond. 3 to 4, trigger after delay 1 millisecond. And number 4, just go back to number 1. And let's create a frame first so that we can see the prototype nicely. I'm gonna paste one of the instances here. And if we play this, Shift Space, you can see now that we have this nice loading animation effect. It's staggering a bit. So it stops here and then it continues. So there might be something wrong with the animation. Let's go back and check. So it's stuck at this state. Let's go back to the after delay here. Oh, so now this is why, because I have to delay at 800. So change that to 1 millisecond. Play that one more time. Now it's running smoothly. So that's basically it for this loading animation today. I hope you found this useful. If you do, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment, and I'll see you guys on the next one.